Good afternoon, everybody. I'm glad to be here today to talk about the report that was just released by the Canadians for Tax Fairness. And I think this is something that Canadians should be taking very seriously. What we've seen in the report is that there are a number of companies that were taking the Canadian Emergency Wage Subsidy while paying massive dividends out to their shareholders. The government, for whatever reason, has decided it's not going to pursue in any way these big companies that took massive amounts of public funds. Meanwhile, for some of the most financially vulnerable Canadians who took the government at its word, applied when they were desperate during the height of the pandemic for CERB and CRB funding, the CRA continues to send them letters telling them that they owe up to $20,000, even though they know full well those people don't have the ability to repay. It's really hard on those folks that are among the most vulnerable. But if you're a huge corporation that's been doing very well, making a lot of money, and also took public funds, well, the government is going to let you off the hook. I think that's not at all the right approach. I think the report does a very good job of detailing the extent to which that is happening, and we need to see the government change its approach so that the time and effort of CRA employees is spent going after the big fish with the money to repay public funds rather than chasing small fish who don't have the money to repay in any event. And that's what we talk about when we're talking about a CERB low-income repayment amnesty. It's not just about helping folks who are in a really financial vulnerable position. It's also about ensuring that government is using the resources of the Canadian public effectively, and where they're trying to recover money are actually looking to get that money back from people who have the ability to pay. The government's turned that completely on its head with its strategy of ignoring companies that are paying out huge dividends when they took public funds and chasing after folks who don't have the ability to repay and found themselves in a very vulnerable position during and coming out of the pandemic. En français. Salut tout le monde. Nous sommes ici aujourd'hui pour parler d'un rapport du Canadians for Tax Fairness qui démontre qu'il y a des grandes corporations qui ont pris beaucoup de fonds publics pendant la pandémie qui ne le repayent pas. Le gouvernement ne leur demande même pas de le repayer. Puis on contraste ça avec des Canadiens à faible revenu qui reçoivent des lettres du gouvernement qui exigent qu'ils repayent leurs dettes, même dans le cas où c'est très évident qu'ils n'ont pas l'argent pour le repayer. C'est non seulement une question morale, mais c'est aussi une question de gérer les ressources du gouvernement d'une manière efficace. Parce que si les personnes qui travaillent pour Revenu Canada passent tout leur temps en chassant la dette des personnes qui n'ont pas les moyens pour le repayer, ce n'est pas un bon investissement du gouvernement. En même temps, il y a des grandes corporations qui payent leurs shareholders, je ne sais pas le bon mot français, mais qui fait beaucoup d'argent pour eux et pour ceux et celles qui ont qui bénéficient des revenus des corporations, puis le gouvernement ne leur demande même pas de repayer. Alors, nous pensons que c'est important que le gouvernement chasse les dettes où il y a une capacité de le repayer, parce que c'est ça, comment on agisse si on veut gérer les ressources publiques d'une manière efficace, mais ce rapport aujourd'hui démontre que ce n'est pas l'approche du gouvernement. And I'm happy to take any questions in French or English about it. Seeing none, I'll depart. Thanks, you guys. Have a good afternoon.
Je parlais de Laval, pour savoir si vous avez...
Pardon, excusez.
Les politiciens aujourd'hui sont à Laval pour soutenir les victimes, les proches, les familles. Je me demandais si vous, de votre côté, vous auriez un message envoyé aux parents présentement affligés par cette
Je pense comme tout le monde, comme père de famille, aussi comme citoyen, on est tous solidaires un peu de ce que la population vit. Puis je me suis joint à tout le monde, je l'ai fait via les réseaux sociaux. Vous me permettez de leur faire, de souhaiter mes sympathies à tous ceux et celles qui vivent des moments difficiles, puis leur dire que je pense, comme toute la population du Québec, du Canada, vous l'avez vu à la Chambre des communes, on est solidaires avec eux, puis on va tout faire ce qu'on peut pour les supporter. Puis je veux profiter du moment pour remercier les gens de première ligne de sécurité qui sont là les gens dans les hôpitaux qui prennent soin de ces gens-là présentement.
Merci beaucoup, plaisir.
Asking a question about Afghan women and girls. So the problem is that the restriction that the Taliban had on girls and women in Afghanistan, they were in that situation, and lots of them trying to just get out of the country when they are treated with direct treats and indirect treats in very bad situation. We had the MPs and other professional girls and women who are very active in Afghanistan. So basically, I'm asking that, do you see any new policy, anything that government of Canada want to do for that women and girls from Afghanistan to come fast into Canada?
Well, what I can tell you is that there has been a horrible failure on this government to do what they can to bring women and girls to safety. There's been a failure to prepare a humanitarian carve-out so that organizations, Canadian organizations that want to provide support in Afghanistan can do so. The government has moved too slow. They've been absent from conversations they should have been part of. Other countries have been able to find solutions, and this government has not found those solutions. I'm going to continue to push the government to do this important work. People's lives are at risk. What I can say as well is that there are members of all parties that are pushing for this. There are members across the House of Commons that are doing everything we can to bring women to safety, particularly those women MPs who are probably the most at-risk women in the world right now. But I have to say as well, I mean, we are over 500 days since girls in Afghanistan can go to school. That is abhorrent. That is an abhorrent stain on our global community, and every country must do everything they can to stop that. It's absolutely absurd and horrific.
Is the special committee on Maine still on track to table a report next week?
It's looking pretty good. You can never tell until you finish, but right now we believe we're going to be on track for the 17th.